Hello, friends. Chris Coursey here, and I want to welcome you to the Relational Skills in Real Life podcast. I'm glad you're here. Today's topic is on the 5 benefits of quieting. That's right, quieting, calming, resting. This is an important skill. It's often underrated, right? We tend to think about quieting or calming as a waste of time. It almost seems monotonous to pause and to practice some quieting. We got work to do, right? We have stuff to do. We have to-do lists. And taking some time for a breather or a timeout just feels a little counterintuitive. It's like, why should I do this? But you know what? Few things will grow your capacity, will settle your nervous system, and will bless your relationships like the skill of quieting and calming. Even though we don't always give ourselves permission to pause and quiet, this skill will help you show up and be your best self. When I was thinking of quieting the other day, I came across a study that shows that your brain emits light. That's right, your brain emits light. You could say that your brain glows. You see, living tissue emits a continuous stream of low intensity light. It's known as biophotons. And researchers believe that this light comes from a biomolecular reaction that generates energy. And energy that's being burned creates photons as a byproduct. And so the more energy that tissue that burns, the more light it gives off. And there was this interesting study published in the journal iScience where they detected biophotons emitted by the brain, by the human brain outside of the skull. This was a first time discovery, friends. And so what was happening is they were discovering that this glowing changed when participants switched between different cognitive tasks. And so there's a lot more here that scientists have to learn, but it tells us that our brain glows. Your brain emits particles of light that are happening, even though we can't see it or detect it with our eyes. And this reminds me of Dallas Willard, who believed that Adam and Eve glowed in the Garden of Eden. He believed that they glowed. And when sin entered the picture, they lost their glow. So when I think about living tissue glowing, I think about being fully alive in Christ, where we reflect the people that God created us to be. And this brings us to the value of calming and resting and quieting. Because when we disconnect from our phones and our gadgets, when we take a breather and a time out to calm ourselves, we are refreshed, we are rejuvenated, we get our glow back. And so quieting gives you a glow because it grows your capacity for joy and it gives you strength to navigate the hard stuff. And it also helps your brain cool what might be hot and it helps us to calm what's distressing. And it's for this reason that quieting is the greatest predictor for lifelong mental health. Or as Alan Shore would say, our ability to cool down and rest, as well as amp up with joy, really helps our nervous system to maintain homeostasis. So the $1 million question is, can I enter into high energy joy, but can I lower my energy when it's time to rest and to quiet? This is serious brain training right there. So let's look at the 5 benefits of quieting and resting. Besides being the #1 predictor for lifelong mental health, quieting sets us up to build joy because we've been able to self-soothe, to calm and quiet our mind and our body. And what this does is it settles us so that we can focus and be creative and to be present. And it helps us to be able to focus on what's important rather than getting lost in the noise of our lives or our hurts or our frustrations. The second thing quieting does is it helps you build trust and safety in your relationships. Let's face it, we feel guarded when people don't let us rest. Too much stimulation is toxic. And research on parenting has shown that when parents overwhelm their children with too much stimulation, this can harm the brain. And it can harm the brain in even more ways, in some ways, than neglect. So, too much stimulation is bad. Building trust and growing strong bonds means that we can rest together and we invite others to take a breather with us. Quieting and calming with our children, with our friends, our family, our small group gives us that much needed breather. It builds trust and stability, and it allows us to grow some joy. The third thing quieting does is it decreases overwhelm. It helps us to navigate the busyness of our lives because it activates the relational systems in your brain, particularly your right hemisphere, which give us peace and stability. So we're more likely to activate the brain's relational circuits when we pause for a breather. Few things will send your relational brain into the red, like the absence of quieting and calming. So taking that pause and that breather is actually good for you. Next, it's also good for your physical health. This is the fourth thing about benefit of quieting. Everything from our heart health to our immune system is benefited from protecting time for rest and quieting ourselves. The absence of rest keeps us stuck in energy producing systems that can lead to problems down the road like adrenal fatigue and more. So, rest is our relational life preserver, which helps us to be still, to stay healthy, and to be able to connect with people in joy and peace. And the final benefit, the fifth benefit of quieting, is it helps us be more productive in our work. Studies on productivity have shown that people who pause when taking tests are more accurate in their scores and they're less likely to make mistakes. And study and research has also shown for the workplace that workers who rest are more creative and more productive, and they also make fewer mistakes. So we see more and more research showing the value of quieting and pausing for a much needed breather. Becoming your best self involves quieting and resting and calming. It's no accident, friends, that God gave Israel a weekly Sabbath so that they could rest and quiet in Him. Now we get to hear from a Thrive friend, Gina, an excellent story about the value of resting and quieting. Let's hear what Gina has to say.
One time I was at work and it had been a long day. I had had 8 meetings back to back and I was about to head into my ninth meeting of the day. And I had a slight headache and I really didn't want to do another meeting, solving another problem. And so I got to the meeting room and I could see on my colleague's face that she looked overwhelmed and she looked tense. And what was normal for the company that we worked in was to just keep pushing, fast execution speed. But because I had been to Thrive Today trainings, I knew about the skill of noticing signs of overwhelm on people's faces. So because I had learned that skill, I said, you know what? I'm feeling kind of stressed out. You look a little bit overwhelmed too. Am I right? She said, yeah. And I said, how about we do this? A weird thing, but I think it would really help our brains. And we just take 5 minutes to just close our eyes and to just calm down and imagine a happy place that we've been to, like a beach or mountains. And she agreed to that. And after the 5 minutes, she said, that was weird. And I feel so much better. And my headache had gotten better. Her face looked less tense. And we were able to look at the problem that we had to solve from a place of calm rather than overwhelm.
Wow, friends. Gina gave us an excellent example of quieting. She used what we call skill 9 to notice that some quieting was needed when her coworker was just looking a little crispy. She invited her friend to pause and to rest, and this was a fruitful investment of 5 minutes, which led to calmness and creativity. I really appreciated Gina's example because it just shows how simple the skill can be when we've practiced it and when we've gotten used to using it. And so we all can practice quieting like Gina and take the time to reset by calming, breathing, and relaxing. Go on, take that nice deep breather and see what you notice. Well, there's more resources here because quieting grows with practice. So we have a entire section on our website about quieting, and you can see a pathway for building this skill at thrivetoday.org/skill 2. So quieting is skill 2 of the 19 skills. You can go to that page and learn more and see resources. And you can check out our thrivetoday.org/upcoming events to see any groups or classes that we're leading that will also cover the skill. Friends, it's my prayer and my hope that this is the start of something good for you today.